Let's get right into it. It's time for the evening boxing talks. I was going to do a late night boxing talks, but I actually want to go to bed a little bit early, get a jump start on tomorrow. What's goody, Sufami Dan in the building? First order of business. What is supposed to be the Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence Jr. fight. Negotiations appear to have not made any progress. The root of the problem seems to be economic, among other things that are being mentioned, but economics has a lot to do with it. It always does. If there's an issue, it's likely a money issue. And it kind of just highlights how I've been saying it for a long time that most of what you've been seeing and most of what you've been hearing about that particular outfit, which is the PBC, most of it is just smoke and mirrors, that guys are their own bosses when they're not, that guys are supposed to be making all this money. No, they aren't. It's like they neither have the autonomy or finance that a lot of people would have you believe they have. And the nature of the problem, at least based on what I've seen and what I've heard, it is in fact economic. It looks a lot like they're trying to walk Terence into a bad deal. Doesn't surprise me because they've already walked several of their own fighters that have been there a very long time into bad deals that costed them opportunities and costed them millions and millions of dollars. I was goody Butch, it was goody Oscar. And basically what it is if you've been paying attention, Terence Crawford is a fighter who was making very good money at ESPN, and naturally, if you've been making good money, you want to keep making good money. If you were making good money for fights like Kavaliauskas, good money for fights like the Khan fight or the Brook fight, more recently the Sean Porter fight, if you made good money for those fights, which weren't on the scale of this fight, you would naturally expect that for this fight, you're supposed to make more than you made from those fights because, this fight supposed to be bigger than them fights. Some people seem to think it's bigger than Canelo versus Golovkin 3. I don't, but some people think that. Was goody UK Rob? And the good guy wins. If you were making $3, $4, $5, $6 million for fighting guys like Amir Khan, Kell Brook, Igor Kavaliauskas, and Sean Porter, naturally you would expect that, I'm about to fight Spence, so I should get more money than that. And I believe that this is just me. I believe that that's what's at the heart of the matter, that, Errol isn't guaranteed the same money up front that Spence is. And a lot of people struggle with that, but I'm like, how do you not see that? He doesn't get up front what Terence was getting up front. And that's going to be a major stumbling block, that he's not actually a big star. He's not actually as big a draw as you make him out to be. You celebrate whatever mediocre success he has, and you expect everybody else to eat it up. And I'm looking at the numbers, and I'm looking at what's being reported to the commission, and I'm looking at, how many people were there, just what's the reaction to the fight? What's the aftermath? What's the end result? And what I saw consistently is you are not a big draw. You a local draw. You're not a big draw. You a local cat. And that's what Davis is, but they keep calling him a superstar. When, like, yo, dog, you a local cat, though. You a local cat. If you can't crack 3 and 4 off your name alone, you a local cat. You're not a superstar. A superstar can move 600,000 plus pay-per-view buys against a guy that nobody never even really seen before. That's what a superstar could do. And you not that. You a local draw. And pertaining to this conversation, Errol is a local draw. It's not that he can't draw. No, he can draw, but it's not what y'all making it out to be, to where he's a superstar. Remember, a lot of people was trying to say that he was going to replace Canelo as the face of boxing. What's the ETA on that? Because it ain't right now. Why is it that Showtime can come up with upwards of 40 million to 100 million for Canelo Alvarez, but they can't put this together? Why is it that the PBC can find it in the budget to give Canelo that amount of money, but they can't use money to put together Spence versus Crawford? I could tell you, and it's a simple answer. It's because he's good for the money, and you're not. Simple. It's very simple. They can guarantee Canelo, we'll give you 40 because they know he's good for it. We'll give you 100 because they know he's good for it. If you give him that, he will bring it back. Whereas if you overspend on these guys, they might not bring it back because they've seen their own books. They know what they're dealing with. Fuck Twitter, fuck YouTube, fuck Facebook, and fuck anybody blowing smoke up people's asses about this stuff because it's really simple. He's a draw, yes, but not a big draw. Now, you're dealing with a guy in Crawford who in his last fight, he made $6 million up front. At minimum, he got that. So naturally, he would expect more than that, and I don't blame him. You guys have been telling me that I ain't shit, that I can't sell, that he's the draw, and he's the A-side. So naturally, if I'm about to fight him, well, I'm expecting to get more than I've been getting because he's supposed to be the A-side. He's supposed to be the cash cow. He's supposed to be the it. He's supposed to be the man. He got the 3 other belts, right? Y'all told me that I ain't shit and he's the dude. So if I'm about to fight that dude, I'm expecting that I should be able to get something worth my while. I mean, it seems to me that they can't make those, they can't deliver. And all the excuses and all the silliness that we've seen for the last 4 years, it's all like a house of cards that's coming down because you know what? You use Top Rank and Bob Arum as an excuse. You use them as a crutch to not deliver this fight. Well, now Bob Arum and Top Rank don't got nothing to do with this thing, and you still haven't gotten it done yet. What is taking so long? We're 7 months damn near into the year of 2022, and you still haven't done this thing. Shout out to Concha, que lo que, Shot-Town in the building, Bray in the building, Fulton out here insulting our intelligence like we didn't know that it's Heyman controlling everything behind the scenes. We're going to talk about that too, that, you know, Stephen Fulton, he's been very adamant that he wants the undisputed fight, but you really have to wonder, because he's a PBC fighter, okay, if you want the fight, is Al Heyman formulating an offer for MJ Akhmadaliev? Is Showtime? You know, don't insult our intelligence, because if you want the fight, it's simple. Either your people will formulate an offer or you will be made an offer which you accept. It's simple. When you want to do a fight, you do a fucking fight. It's not complicated. I think about Chris Billum Smith versus Isaac Chamberlain, and I know that fight is not on the level where these guys are at. I understand that, but it just shows it's a crude example of what I'm talking about. That when a dude want to fight, whether he got to fight on DAZN or he gonna fight on Sky, he gonna fight. He gonna fight. Usually, you see Chris Billum Smith on Matchroom shows. His next fight, which with Isaac Chamberlain, which is a great fight, by the way, his next fight is on Sky, and that communicates to me that is a fighter who wants to fight. Felix Cash, when he fought Denzel Bentley, Felix Cash is a Matchroom fighter, but where was the fight? On a BT show. On a Queensbury BT show. The fighters that want to fight are going to fight. And the fighters that don't are going to stay on social media. It's not complicated. There's nothing complicated about it. Meanwhile, this week, another guy, Breedis, is fighting this week. He has to step it up. Agreed. He's fighting a good guy, though, so I'll give him that. It is his mandatory challenger, J.O. Pataya, by way of the IBF. It's a good fight. For those not aware, ESPN Plus is carrying the fight. So if you're up early enough, you can watch it. ESPN Plus this Wednesday, tomorrow morning, they're carrying the fight. Don't forget PBC guys. Of course, Marca. How could I forget that? They have all this autonomy that they never use. You know, and just back to what I was originally talking about, that for years you heard people propping up PBC fighters that, oh, they're their own bosses and they're making all this money. They make all this money. It's all bullshit. It was all bullshit. And for 4 years, I told you it was bullshit. I told you. From Wilder rejecting the DAZN offer and all the offers that he rejected before that, to Adam Kovnowski rejecting the millions upon millions of dollars he was offered to fight Anthony Joshua, to Luis Ortiz doing the same thing, to Jermall Charlo, to Gervonta Davis. It's all smoke and mirrors over there, because now you see Bob's not in the picture. Top Rank is not in the picture. That is no excuse. It's all on you now to do the fight, and you still haven't done it. And all we keep hearing about is there's no progress. There are problems. There's this. It's like, bro, what the fuck? The pressure is on them to deliver this fight, because if you can't deliver a fight like this, what can you deliver? Remember, you're competing with Eddie Hearn. You're competing with Canelo versus Golovkin. You're competing with Joshua versus Usyk. You're competing with whatever they do on the zone. You're competing with that. This is probably the biggest fight that you can make on your platform. What other fight on your platform can you make bigger than this one? And if you can't get it done, what the fuck are you good for? What are you good for? Terence is a free agent. There's no Bob. There's no worrying about that. And here we are. Problem is Spence thinks he's a cash cow. That's a very good point, Mr. Punch. That's a very good point. And a lot of people want me and you to believe he's a cash cow, but I've maintained for 4 years that your numbers are down from the Mikey Garcia fight, not up. They're down. If you were playing with 400,000 or 500,000, okay, now we're talking. You did 360 with Mikey, 277 with Porter, 220 something with Danny, and 250 something with Ugas. Your numbers are down from the Mikey Garcia fight, not up. It's easy to blame everyone else and say, talk to Al, while Al doesn't have to talk about anything at all because people never see him. Exactly. Coach, I want to get you in on this conversation. I'm not going to have 10 people up here tonight because I want to focus on the subject. It's kind of hard to do that with 10 people in the background. I want to get Coach on here. Let's just talk about this fight. The roaring Capricorns, the powerfulness, the greatness. Got to earn with Hearn, bro. God damn it, Eddie Hearn, god damn it. It's the motherfucking man. You know what I'm saying? Shoot my man Malachi Link. And yeah, it just accents what I've been telling you all along, that Crawford was making very good money at ESPN, right? Devin was making very good money at Matchroom. And you see these situations involving the same outfit to where they never want to pay the piper or they can't pay the piper. You see what I mean? Matchroom offered Gervonta Davis about 3 years ago something north of $7 or $8 million. And what did they turn around and offer Tevin Farmer? $2 million. Like, how is that a counteroffer? Eddie Hearn proposed a blind bid. Let him and Floyd go in a room, put their offer in the envelope, and biggest offer wins. They chickened out. They didn't even want to fucking know. They didn't want to know. They preferred to make Davis versus Gamboa. And you have people sick enough and deranged enough to act like that was satisfying. Who wanted to see Davis versus Gamboa? Who? Who wanted to see that? You don't want to see a unification match? Jermel Charlo made $1 million in his last fight. If Crawford fought him, how much exactly, Lionel? Exactly. If Crawford made $6 million for a Sean Porter fight, what makes you think that anything under $6 million should be his next purse? That makes no sense. He made $6 million in his last fight, right? So he's going to be expecting to get something comparable. He is. And if what you're saying is that Errol is a star and Errol is a draw and Errol is the A side, then the onus is on Errol to do the fight. And if doing the fight requires Crawford to be underpaid, guess what? You ain't no fucking cash cow and you ain't no fucking A side. It's that simple. Because what kind of cash cow can't afford to pay for a goddamn fight? I got you, bro. Like I said, the link is for Malachi. We're not having 10 people on the panel tonight. It's simple. It's not complicated. There's nothing complicated about this shit, you know? If you're really a cash cow, fights are going to happen. You know, Canelo Alvarez consolidated an entire division in a little under a year's time because he's a fucking cash cow. That's what happens when you a cash cow. Coach, I know you heard the rumors.
Talking about you.
Jules, yeah. Well, Jules, yeah, I heard the rumors, man. I will say I'm not surprised about the rumors, to be honest with you.
Do you feel that it will happen, that they'll work it out, or do you feel like, you know what, I'm just so tired of this?
I'm not gonna say I'm tired, but you know, I think the crazy part about it, man, you spoke about this in the past before, and I think we was always skeptical.
yeah. At minimum we were.
I'm not gonna lie, man. I've heard you say, man, I still don't know, but you know, we want to be hopeful because it's a fight that we want to see. It's a historic fight for the boxing fans and stuff like that. It just it's convenient to say, yeah, man, if it don't happen, it's because of Crawford. Yeah. All that's very convenient to say. I'm looking at the bottom line. The fact of the matter is, it's not like these guys are asking for Canelo Alvarez type money.
Mm-hmm.
They're not. I don't think that they're being, not reasonable or nothing like that. So my thing is, okay, what do these guys normally get paid at the PBC?
Now, this is what I'm gonna say, Malachi. I've maintained that these guys are probably getting at most 1.5 to 3 at a time, and then they get their stipends after that. Whereas Crawford made $6 million up front. At minimum, you know that he got $6 million up front, and whatever else he got on the back end, if there even was a back end, there probably wasn't. But at minimum, he was guaranteed 6. So you have to make the inference that if this is a bigger fight than that fight was, of course he's gonna expect more than 6. Everybody would, because this is supposed to be a mega fight, right?
Right. And normally when you're like when Canelo, well, I don't even want to bring up Canelo, but my thing is, so my next question is, what exactly is the PBC Showtime trying to pay the fighters? Like when they say, what is the it has to be reasonable. Okay, give us a number. What's reasonable to you guys? Well, I want to give Errol 1.5 million. I want to give Crawford 1.5 million. Like, what is the reasonable number? We don't know that.
We don't. You're right.
All I know is when it comes to Spence fighting a PBC fighter, it's $1.5 million, whatever. There's no problem making these fights, right? There's no problem making a Danny Garcia fight. There's no problem making a Ugas fight. There's no problem making any other fight. So, the other side of the street.
The fights, the examples that you give, right? For example, you brought up Ugas. We saw what the guaranteed purses to those fighters were based on what was reported to the commission. Mm-hmm. And what was reported to the commission was 1.5 for Errol, 1.5 for Ugas, I think, right? So you got guys over there, and it kind of goes back to what you always hear me say about Gervonta Davis, that they got these cheap opponents that they could pay them whatever paltry ass amount of money. But when it come to a Devin Haney, of course you can't pay him that. He's a fucking champion and he makes good money. So why would he settle for peanuts with you? This supposed to be a bigger fight, right? So you supposed to make it worth my while, and you not doing that. And that's when you see that Leonard starts talking about, well, Eddie this and Eddie that, when all you really saying is you can't pay him the way that Eddie pays him. So you don't want to make the fight.
Right.
That's the same shit with this.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And again, we don't. Again, I already know who's going to be the scapegoat. I get it, because you have to push the narrative. You have to push the narrative. I get it. I understand it. It is what it is. But the fact of the matter is, we don't know what's going on. We see all of these different fights being made. When it comes to this guy from Omaha, Nebraska, it's all right. Bob is not in the way. No net worth. So what this tells me is all of the other stuff, that excuses that was used in the past, that was never an issue.
Let's say this, Coach, because they're gonna make Terence the scapegoat, because now that Bob's not in the picture, he's the only constant, right? And they're gonna try to make it seem like Crawford wants too much, when in reality, and y'all have heard me say this before, you're talking about a 3-division, 2-time lineal, 2-time Ring Magazine, former undisputed, current reigning, unbeaten champion. What, you think he gonna take peanuts when he just got 6 in his last fight? If this fight is bigger than that fight, it stands to reason that he's gonna expect more up front. That's the way it's supposed to go. But because y'all can't give him that, that's the real holdup. Because your fighter isn't what they say he is. And I've been saying that for 4 years. Like, this dude is not all that, fam. Y'all want him to be pound for pound? He really not that good. Y'all say he's a cash cow, but he really don't draw that much. He might draw better than Crawford, but that's not saying much, fam. Nothing against Crawford. I love Crawford. But you telling me that he draw Crawford don't make him Canelo, don't make him Oscar in his prime, or Manny or Floyd in their prime. He not that kind of draw. When's the last time he cracked 300,000 bars? Now, you got people on social media that are actually willing to lie and embellish and exaggerate about what the numbers are, what kind of numbers he bringing, but this is the reality. If you really the cash cow they make you out to be, what is the problem? Bob is not here. Top rank ESPN, that's not even a factor no more.
Right. Oh, the problem is is Crawford. I get it. I understand. I know what you're going to say. I understand these guys very well. They didn't have a double standard. They wouldn't have a standard at all, and they really do. And I know these guys very well. Fact of the matter is, it's like you said. You know, when you fight Canelo, people receive career high paydays when they fight Canelo. Exactly. Caleb Plant, on paper, what was reported to the WB, what was reported to the the WBC commission, this was a $750,000 fighter.
Yep.
They said, well, yeah, on paper, that's what I got, but I got more in the back end. Okay, whatever the hell that means.
Ain't that the truth? Yeah. The back end of what? A Uskateki fight? Caleb Truax fight? The back end of what, fam?
Yeah, whatever that means. And, you know, none of them can explain to you what the back end is. You know, we don't know what, so I'm not even tripping on that. On paper, he was a $750,000 fighter. When he fought Canelo, it was reported that he was supposed to get $10 million. Now, I don't know if that was, we know Canelo got his bread.
Yep.
Canelo was like, no, I need 40 million guaranteed. I don't do that back end shit, puto. You know, I know you guys want to pay me $1 million. To pay me $1 million guaranteed. Can you hear me, Jules?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, you want to pay me $1 million guaranteed and give me $39 million on the back end. Canelo like, no, we don't do that. We don't do that over here. I need 40 million, not 40, 40 million guaranteed. So if this guy is as big as you say he is, he should be able to draw. Now, no one is asking for that kind of money with these two fighters. But bruh, it seemed like they want these fighters to fight for. It's like they created an illusion that these guys was making all of these millions of dollars. It was raining out of the sky over there. And now it's time to show and tell with this fight. And it's like the covers have been pulled off. Man, you got to be realistic. We really don't have the money like that. It just have to make sense, the economics. And I'm like, dude, you guys, now all of a sudden you're pulling teeth now. I thought the PBC was the place to be. Al Heyman, look out for all of the black and Latino fighters, Hispanic fighters. And, everybody's living in mansions and driving Maseratis and Ferraris over there. And then
I've always equated it because Al Heyman is a music guy. And if you know anything about the music industry, and you'll hear this from distinguished artists like Prince, God bless the dead, right? Because he said it. In the music industry, they're just looking for a niche. And they're just looking for a gimmick. The gimmick with the PBC was that they live in lavish and they making all this money. They would use buzzwords like the back end, or it got to make those are all buzzwords, bro. What the fuck are you really talking about? What the fuck are you talking about? Can you do the fight or can you not do the fight? And what I see, Crawford is a $6 million fighter, and it looks a lot like you can't afford him.
Right, and this is the thing. Like you created this illusion that's not there. You know what I mean? You created this illusion that it's we the place to be. All of our fighters are living well. We have plenty of money for this and that. These guys are not even on Canelo's level. Spence nor Crawford, right? Spence. I mean, Spence has a bigger drawing power than Crawford. Okay, fine, nothing wrong with that. That's true, but. I'm like, dude, it's not, we don't even know. Like, you have people online arguing about something and we don't even know what it is. Like, we don't know, okay, what are these guys asking for?
Let me read this. Let me read this super chat. It goes back to what we said yesterday, Jules. Al don't want his fighters to get paid from Eddie because it will be paid in full and no stipend. That's why they all said AJ 100 mil wasn't real. Exactly that. If you let Eddie pay the guys, they're going to get their cash. And it doesn't seem like much, but that creates problems for Al because Al, I suspect, and I've long suspected, he don't pay these guys right. That's what's going on. Now, Alfred says, should Crawford take less like Haney and cash in later on the other side of the Spence fight? I will say no, and here's why. Devin Haney is a young fighter that's only 23 years old. He has his whole career ahead of him, whereas Terence Crawford is already very accomplished and he's in his mid-30s. They're in very different places. Terence Crawford is coming off of a top-ranked deal that saw him making multi-millions every single fight for smaller fights than this one. So he can't turn around and say, well, let me just bite the bullet and I'm in my mid-30s, and this is supposed to be the biggest fight of my career, but this is the fight that I bite the bullet? Nah, I'm not a young up-and-comer to be biting no bullet. You supposed to be able to do this for me because y'all spent the last 4 years telling me that I ain't shit. That's what y'all spent. Y'all told me for 4 years that I ain't shit, that I can't draw flies to shit, and I ain't shit. So, all right, I'm going to let y'all do the business, and this is the best you can do? This?
And then let me address the brother in the super chat. I see what you're saying, fam. You said should Crawford take less like Haney and cash in later on the other side. Take less of what, though?
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? Like, take less of what? We don't even know what the what is. He should take less. Okay, take less of what?
I'm going to say this because this is the reality of it, and I know that it's going to sound like I'm a Crawford shill. I'm not going to advocate that he do bad business to satisfy selfish need, right? Yeah, I want to see the fight, but if all they offering you is a dick and a booty ass contract, now you can't sign that. In good conscience, now you can't sign that, fam. Not if it's some old dick and a booty ass contract. For what? So they could fuck you over, right? The way they fuck over their own fighters, because that's all they do. That is all they do over there. They fucked over Adam Kovnowski. Can't nobody on this planet tell me different. They fucked over Luis Ortiz. Can't nobody tell me different. They fucked over Deontay Wilder. And you still got people till this day that don't want to admit that, even though he admitted, I was offered more money for AJ than to catch this fade from Fury. And what y'all told him to do? Go with Fury. That's the advice that y'all gave him. Y'all advised Adam Kovnowski to turn down all that money. Y'all did that so he could end up getting the shit beat out of him 2 times by Robert Helenius. At least if AJ would have beat the shit out of him, he would have been a millionaire. Y'all let him get the shit beat out of him for a couple $100,000. It's a sickness.
And this is the thing. This is why I respect Canelo and Joshua so much. Because Canelo, after his ordeal with Oscar De La Hoya, Canelo's like, look, you guys got to pay me my money. Apparently Eddie Hearn has disrupted the market by paying these fighters more money than, for this is what I'm seeing, Jules. The PBC is used to paying fighters $1 million, $500,000, anywhere from $500,000 to $1.5 million.
Yeah.
And if someone fights Tank Davis, they're gonna make like $500,000 guaranteed.
Yeah.
And then they're gonna get quote unquote whatever on the back end, a percentage of the pay-per-views, right? They give Tank like $1.5 million, $1.5 million from what's been reported. And bro, I'm like, that ain't nothing. So it's very cost efficient. So if someone like a Tank, if he does 200,000 pay-per-view buys and the gate does well, no, he's a star. This it has to make sense. This how much money we made. This fight generated this. Yeah, because you didn't have to pay the fighters nothing.
Thank you.
You didn't have to pay the fighters anything. So it seems to me that you're trying to do the same thing to Crawford and Spence. Say, look, Spence, know what time it is. We normally give him $1.5 million. We want to give you 1.5 as well. And, we see what you guys get on the back end. And you know how that back end shit is. That back end shit is, you at the mercy of, all right, I don't know what, they may not even report how many pay-per-views you really did. You know what I mean? Like, I heard some horror stories about this back end stuff, trying to get the rest of your money on the back end. There's no telling how long that's going to take for you to get it. I don't know.
Let's say this. What they try to do, and I understand it just from experience. Let's just say that.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. Keep the operational costs low so that the break-even point is easier to hit and you end up making more profit. But that kind of goes against what you've been saying about your fighter. We shouldn't have to do that with this fight. You could do that with Davis and the low-level guys that he fights that only cost you about $300,000 or $400,000 or $500,000 at a time. Yeah, those guys. You're talking about what's supposed to be a fight that can compete at least with Golovkin versus Canelo. Now we don't hear none of this shit. None of it. The fight is done. The fucking fight is done. And these bozos have been sitting here using a fight that isn't done, that's been riddled with problems for 4 years. This is supposed to be bigger than that. Then why ain't it done?
Why isn't it done? You hit me right on the head. Why isn't it done? And this is the thing, right? This is the thing that gets me. This guy's been a free agent for 7 months. And you still haven't and this fight still hasn't been announced or anything. So when Eddie Hearn says the Triple G fight and Canelo fight is 3 times bigger than Crawford Spence, people online arguing, getting mad. Oh, Canelo fight and Triple G fight is not bigger than Crawford Spence. I say it is bigger than Crawford Spence. You want to know why I say that? Because guess what? There is no Crawford Spence fight.
It ain't.
There's nothing. But the reality is these two guys, there's nothing that's been announced. This is just a fantasy match at this point. Crawford and Spence is not a reality. Triple G and Canelo is a reality. That fight is going down. These guys was in New York at Yankee Stadium somewhere, promoting the fight. This fight is happening. So a fight that's real and tangible is 3 times more than a fight that's a fantasy match right now. Because the fantasy match fight hasn't happened. We haven't heard anything. People are debating, arguing, threatening people online behind these two fighters, right? And then when you sit back and tell me, okay, well, Crawford needs to take less. My question is, take less of what?
Take less
of what? No one
has
gave me an answer yet.
And more importantly, I don't beat around the bush. I don't ride the fence. I take a stance. That's what I normally do. Sometimes people agree, sometimes they don't. But I'm not going to sit here and tell a 35-year-old fighter or just a fighter in his mid-30s who's unbeaten and accomplished that he needs to take less. So he supposed to take less to fight Spence than he made fighting what, Porter? Who the fuck would do that? Would you take less to go into work today? Because he's going to work, right? He going to work. And you telling that man that has built himself up to this point that he needs to, why? That doesn't, if you was talking about a journeyman, if you was talking about a Teofimo, I'm not calling Teofimo a journeyman, by the way. What I mean is, if you were talking about reasonable circumstances, like when it came to Teofimo, I said, yeah, you should take less for George because it's not a big fight. They'll set you up something bigger later, and it'll all work out in the end. No, you wanted what you wanted, and we see how it worked out, and I talk about it all the time. With Crawford, you can't say that. This man is in his mid-30s. He's accomplished already. He don't have all the time in the world. You can't expect him to take a cut from what's supposed to be a fight so big that you guys think it's on the level of Canelo versus Golovkin. If it's on the level of Canelo versus Golovkin, then why should he have to take a cut? It's on the level of Canelo versus Golovkin.
Jules, you hit the nail right on the head. You can't have it both ways. You can't tell me that Crawford and Spence is bigger than Canelo and Golovkin, which isn't true. But let's say we want to entertain that. If Crawford and Spence is bigger than Canelo and Golovkin, then that means that those two fighters are going to generate so much money that the little money that they do want, it should be nothing. You should be able to pay that because it's bigger than Canelo and Golovkin.
Exactly.
How can you say it's bigger than Canelo and Golovkin in one breath, but then say, oh, man, you got to be reasonable with the money? So my question still remains the same. If you want the fighter to take less money, take less of what?
What? Of
I'm
what?
still waiting on that answer for anyone who says Crawford got to take less money. Take less of what?
Now, let me say this.
No one giving me an answer.
When I seen what was reported to the commission for Spence versus Ugas, I'm like, yo, you telling me Ugas been doing all this crying and moaning and harping? This dude actually went to Venezuela to go talk to Gilberto to get them to leave him alone so he could fight Spence. And I'm like, all this was over $1.5 million? That's what it pays to fight Spence? That's it? You get more money than that fighting Dillian White.
Yeah.
Yo, I'm not kidding, man.
Yeah, you're right, Jules. No, you're right.
If you don't get that, like I remember what Oscar Rivas said, right? Oscar Rivas said, yeah, I was going to sign a Top Rank, but the Dillian White people made me an offer for well over $1 million. So they slowed up on that and focused on that breast. I'm like, so hold up. If Spence is supposed to be like this cash cow this Cash King and this top shelf, top draw, right? How is it that you get the same bread fighting Dillian, if not more, than you get fighting motherfucking Spence? Dillian ain't even champion. Make it make sense. And I reiterate, that was from Oscar Rivas. That wasn't from an IFL Eddie Hearn interview. It's not something Dillian White said. It's what Oscar said. They gave me over $1 million. They gave me well over $1 million for that fight. So I had to slow that Top Rank contract up. All right?
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail right on the head, Jules. Like, again, if it's 3 times, we both on Twitter. Garage knows Leonard. Oh, Eddie Hearn is crazy if he thinks Canelo Triple G is bigger than Crawford Spence. So the question still remains the same. What you said, Jules. If you want me to believe that Spence Crawford is bigger than anything Canelo does, Canelo can fight me. And it'll be bigger than Crawford Spence. You want to know why? Not because of me, because of Canelo. I'm just being honest, fam. Like, of course, I'm going to talk a little shit and then probably be crying and begging. Canelo, please don't hurt me, man. I'm just talking shit, trying to sell a fight, because I am going to be doing that. But outside of that, bro, like, Canelo is a walking economy.
Yeah.
So if you want me to believe that, okay, Spence Crawford is bigger than Canelo, okay, fine. Then how come you don't have the money to pay the fighters what they want? They don't want nowhere near what you're going to pay Canelo.
It doesn't make, look, like I said, I've been saying it, and they've turned it, I believe that they turned it into like a tribal nationalism kind of thing, a pissing contest. And it's like, see, that's why these arguments, after a while, they stop making sense, because it's not even about what we talking about to that individual. It's about them. And bro, I don't give a fuck about you. All right. I'm talking about these fighters, right? All right. Now, ain't no way you going to tell me that this fight is as big as that fight when these guys can't even get the goddamn fight done because of the money. If it's money all around, money every which way, if this fight has so much money tied to it that it's bigger than Canelo versus Golovkin, which is reported to be in the tens of millions, then surely your fight should be done by now. You've had 4 years to do it. And I said it yesterday. The last 4 years have not been built up towards this fight. It's been the opposite. For the last 4 years, you tore Terence Crawford down. You fucked up a lot of shit for that fighter. That should have happened. So I'm going to put this out there, and a lot of people aren't going to like it. The solution might have to be Terence Crawford versus Keith Thurman at a nominal cost. You want to I know how it sounds, but fiscally, right? Look, Thurman, you're going to have to earn your bread. We paying you $2 million up front, not a cent more. Whatever else you get is off the upside. You better sell this fight. Crawford, we got 6 for you, bro. We're going to keep the operational costs of this fight under $10 million, because we can do that and not risk a lot, because this is all about risks. If Crawford wants 10 and let's say Errol wants 10 or 15, right? Well, it's a riskier fight to do. So if that's too risky right now, we can't do that right now, right? This is what I'm going to do. All right, Spence, you're going to fight Stanionis because you stand a better chance against him than Boots. Boots will come in here and fuck this whole thing up for all of us, all right? So you're going to fight Stanionis in the winter. Crawford, you're going to fight Thurman in the fall. And early next year, that's when y'all two fighting, if you want to do this fiscally. I say that because if I take myself out as a boxing fan and I just think about the economy of it, you retards have ruined this fight. You literally spent the last 4 years ruining this fight. Now you got to build it. You have to build it. You have to show Crawford, we're going to put you on Showtime. We're going to push you. No funny business. He is the B-side to you. You are the champion. Thurman, go in there and take your beating. And if you come out on top, we got a payday for you. But now you're going to have to earn your money, because we not just going to be doing that no more for you, bro. All right?
No, I see exactly what you're saying. You're saying the reason why they messed the fight up is because they spent so much time devaluing the product, which is Crawford.
Yep.
By you spending time devaluing him, that, you can't have it both ways. Like, okay, he's nothing. He's not a draw.
In other words, let's say this, coach. You spent 4 years freezing that fighter out of fights. How do I know? Keith Thurman admitted he was made an offer. Danny Garcia admitted he was made an offer. They didn't take it, right? So you froze him out and you stopped his momentum. I didn't forget that he had the most watched fight in all of combat sports in 2018. We ain't just talking about boxing. We talking about MMA. He literally had the most watched fight. So he was on the right track. And y'all ruined that. Y'all froze him out. And when you froze him out and you stopped his progress, you, in effect, ruined this fight. It could have been bigger. You didn't want to show him on Fox. You didn't want to talk about him. You tried to act like his belt and him don't exist. You literally put Ugas and Pacquiao up there when they both had WBA titles, but you ain't got a slot for a Crawford? You ruined the fight. Now you got to try to rebuild it with two guys in their mid-30s. Because you're a bunch of fucking bozos over there. You're not promoters. And I don't give a shit who think I'm a Matchroom show. Eddie is a promoter. He's a promoter. The only difference between him and Don is he don't kill people. He didn't kill nobody. But when you promote fights, you supposed to be the mouthpiece. You supposed to be loud. People supposed to not like you. That's what it is to be a promoter. Al hiding somewhere putting on women's clothes. That's what he doing. You ain't no promoter. Who the promoter? Tom Brown that looked like Joe Biden.
Yeah, Tom Brown looked like Joe Biden.
He looked like an evil Joe Biden.
And the question still remains, Jules. And I will ask this question until someone who's adamant about Crawford need to take less money. My question still remains. Anyone please tell me in the chat. Less of what?
Nobody fucking knows. But I'll tell you what, the number that keeps popping up in my head is 5.
5.
I believe the number's 5. Now I'm gonna go to Dirk Banks. Who is Dirk Banks? I guess that's just an internet troll. Okay, I got you. But yeah, yo, I believe the numbers. I believe that what they're trying to do is minimize the risk, obviously, by minimizing the operational costs. Part of that is the guarantees to the fighters. And it looks, I just kind of get the sense that maybe they want to keep the operational costs under 10, maybe even as low as under 5, because it's less of a risk to them. You know, if the operational costs are low, the upside is easier to hit. But that's going to look funny to somebody like Crawford. Like, wait a minute, how could I take this for this fight when I just made 6 with Sean? And you telling me I got to take this for this fight on the promise that you going to give me more? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I ain't with this maybe money, man. I just got 6 at fucking ESPN.
Yeah, it doesn't. There's a lie in it somewhere. And I think that the PBC don't have what they advertise that they have from a financial standpoint.
No, they don't. It's the music industry, bro. I've been saying it. The way that they operate is, you remember 90s hip hop, everybody had a chain and everybody was Escobar, all this shit. When in reality, bro, the most you sold was a little bit of crack. How the fuck does that make you Escobar? You sold a little bit of crack. A little bit of crack, and you get on the microphone, and now you Pablo Escobar. Like, really?
It's exactly that, Jules. It's like this. Whenever a rapper would release a CD, okay, the distributor I get $14 a CD, you get 25 cents.
Yep.
That's exact contract Al has with these guys. That's why it's stipend. Remember when Chavez Jr. fucked it all up and he showed, Al's paying the Mexicans in full. He paid him a whole $2 million and fucked it all up.
Because they not gonna go for that bullshit. The only, I'm gonna say this, look, and I said it early on. I said it 2-3 years ago. If you look at what was reported to the commission, Leo got more money than Gervonta. If you look at what was reported to the commission, Leo got 1.5. Gervonta got 1. They probably made Gervonta a promise. Yeah, we'll get you more on the back end. But up front, Leo got more money. Less risks to Leo. That's what that is. And that's why, hold on, to the point that you made about Canelo, coach, that he not going to go for the promises. He want his money up front. Yeah, because it's less of a risk to him. You can't bamboozle me if I get my money up front. You could bamboozle your own fighters. You could tell them whatever you want to tell them. Make whatever promises you want to make them. But if we going to work, I need all mine up front and the upside. Because let's be honest, this is not a $50-60 million fight without me. Is Caleb Plant a $40 million fighter? Is he even a $10 million fighter? No. Only reason he getting that is because of me. because I'm good for it. If I leave, what he gonna do? Rematch with Truax for $1 million?
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Jules. Mikey Garcia, Chavez Jr., Jenny Jacobs. They're the only fighters that worked with Al that got paid in full, right?
To my
They
knowledge.
had different managers, correct?
They had different managers. That I know. Jacobs had Keith Connolly. Mikey was, I don't know who Mikey's, I'm trying to remember who was Mikey's manager for a period. I know Jacobs had Keith Connolly. And I don't know who Leo had. I don't know who's doing his business.
But they didn't have the typical Al Heyman deal.
Well, no, I mean, that's obvious, dog, because they went somewhere else. But if you're talking about Charlo and you're talking about Spence and you're talking about Keith and you're talking about Davis, these is dudes like you could see, like you could literally see what's going on. And you hear all this stuff about real estate, right? Because I heard Keith is into real estate. Yes, so's Julian Williams. So's Tevin Farmer. Because you're in real estate. I'm talking about your business in boxing, fam, first. I'm talking about your business, not what you're doing outside of boxing. So just as it pertains to your business in boxing, why was Broner mad, for example, after the Pacquiao fight was over? Why they hand him a check and he got mad? Somebody answer me that. It's on video. That's the only reason I know it. And I'm sure I'm not the only one who saw it. They handed that man a check. He was mad. If you just fought Manny Pacquiao and you just got paid, they gave you a check. Why you mad? What happened? What's on the check? Why did he spend the last 2 years urging Al to give him his money? Why is he still fighting if he's set for life? Because he's not set. It's obvious. Why would an unbeaten champion's card get declined at a diner? What the fuck is going on? What is going on?
And I'm loving
listen, it ain't get declined at the Louis Vuitton store. It ain't get declined at the Fendi or the Gucci or the nothing. He was at a diner. And listen, man, I'm 39, man. My card ain't never been declined. I ain't going front. I got overdraft protection, but still, what's the most expensive thing on the menu, fam? You ain't have $1,000 in your bank account? Not even
that, Jules. You someone that knows, coach knows. Your card only gets declined if there's no money or if you go over a certain amount and it's a security alert. $15 at a BLT is not a security alert for them to check if you made a transaction or not.
That's true. I'll be like it was a diner. Like we know that it was a restaurant because it was a waitress that he knocked down. So we know he wasn't at the car dealership, right? He wasn't at the car dealership. He wasn't at Jared's. He wasn't trying to get no jewels. You at a diner, bro. What you trying to buy? A sandwich? And they told you, nah, you don't have it for the sandwich. That's and you like I say, you supposed to be making M's and you modeling and all this bullshit. Like, I see what's going on. Al is siphoning off your purses to some other account, and what he does with that money, I don't know. He might have fucked it off in some bad investments, or he's stacking it for a nest egg when he decides I've had enough of boxing. All right. That's what
Danny Jacobs exposed it too. Remember, Jules, when he's like, I'm touching M's and I know what you're making.
Of course he knows what you're making. He had just came from over there. He knew exactly what the deal was. It's not like you can't talk to Danny, in other words. And ignorance is bliss. Feel me? Danny came from the PBC. He know what y'all doing over there. He know exactly what the fuck y'all doing over there. He know what's the average dollar amount y'all motherfuckers is getting, because he was getting it till he went to Matchroom and got them M's. He got the Canelo fight. You didn't. He got the Chavez fight. I'm 100% sure Charlo wish he got a Chavez, because Chavez will get you paid. I don't give a fuck. He'll get you paid. I know he ain't shit.
He'll get you paid. He'll get you paid more than $1 million.
I know those are fights that I know he wish he would have got.
To the All Capricorn panel, it goes back to what I know all of us have been saying for years. This fight was never going to be made. They never wanted this fight.
I mean, I never want to say never, but you know, Drew, Coach. I've been skeptical. Like, bro, I wouldn't be surprised if the fight never happens. I wouldn't be surprised. Y'all fucked this shit up in a lot of ways. This is boxing. You could lose tomorrow, fam. You could die tomorrow. You strike when the iron is hot. And the time to do this fight, when the metrics for the fight were actually really, 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 really good, was when Crawford confronted him at that fight. That's when you should have did it. Right after that, like, yo, it's hot. The whole internet is buzzing. Everybody buzzing. Several different social media sites. There was already a demand for the fight, which is why so many people reacted to this. The time is now. Nah, you applied the Maypac formula to two guys that is not Manny or Floyd. And look where we at. 2-3 years later. Because you're a bunch of bozos. Bunch of fucking bozos. Who gonna promote it? Tom Brown?
Samson Lepkowitz.
Tom Brown. Oh man, isn't that the guy who made the song Jamaican Funk? Yeah, that's Tom Brown. Yeah.
Really, you had a Hall of Fame promoter that was willing to work with you to do the fight, and I know you don't get along with him, but if Bob would have been involved, there would have been two people chipping in to pay for the fight. Now it's just you morons, and you still can't do it. Remember, they didn't want to do it when Bob was involved, but at least when Bob was involved, he got that ESPN budget he could use. But y'all didn't want to do it when Bob was involved. All right, now he not involved, fam. Can you do it now? Nah, right?
So you know what?
7 months into this year, Crawford been a free agent since last year. What is the problem?
So you
know what? I'll go even further as this. There's no barriers to this fight. If you called up Eddie Hearn like, Eddie, we don't want to put it on the zone. We want to put it on our platform, but will you promote it and make your fee off of it? And the zone has the international.
Let me do you better. Let me do you one better. If they were smart, which they're not, Eddie, we have Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence internationally. What can you give us for that?
Exactly.
Because whatever you give us for that can help pay for this fight. You know, we don't want to have to go network to network in foreign countries because we don't know them like that. We want you to do this for us, Eddie. You know, and it goes back to what I said a week ago. When you can't beat them, join them. You fucking idiots.
And that's all you got to say, Jules. Eddie, you have the infrastructure internationally to make this a global fight. What is your fee?
It's not fucking complicated. What the fuck is complicated about it? But because you're so local, let me put it another way. Motherfuckers is so local, they can't see the forest for the trees. That look, you just focusing on American money, and that's why the pot for you is so small, because you don't think outside that low ass fishbowl, that low ass pot of boxing fans that don't even like paying for shit anyway. You need them UK fans. You need some of them Canadian fans up there too, because they watch boxing. They got a boxing scene. All right. That's the money you need to get at. Eddie, what can you give us for this fight? Can we get like 3-4 million on top of just for the international rights? What will the zone pay to show this fight on this platform in every other market but the American market? Because we want that to be our market. But you're idiots. And you got your egos tied to your business, which is why your business ain't working.
And these are the same idiots, Jules. Oh, go ahead, Coach Cook.
No. I was just saying that it's very hilarious to me. Like, okay, AB went online and exposed, hey, these PBC guys are getting allowances and stuff like that, and it's not, it's not what the picture that they're painting. Like it's just raining money, and I make mockery of this all the time. I mean, when you hear these guys arguing about PBC, they make it seem like that all of the fighters are happy. Everyone is living in mansions. We're driving Rolls Royces. We have Rolexes, private jets. The fact of the matter is the total opposite. It's not like that at all. Come to find out in their contracts, and I had Johnny Rice on the show, and in their contracts, they got hey man, we want to thank Al Heyman and stuff like that. There's a reason why everybody has to say that. It's smoke and mirrors. It's not what it seems. You can't have Bob as an scapegoat anymore because Crawford is the free agent. He's not a scapegoat, and yet we still don't have these fights. We have 1 million fights that's been made. This Crawford Spence fight it hasn't been made yet. The people who argue this stuff, oh man, Crawford has to be realistic. He has to take less. Less of what? No one has said that question yet. Take less of what?
Exactly. H. Don says King AJ is going to KO Usyk real bad. Love the show. Appreciate you. Napoli says they more like local than local. But really, that's what it is, though. And I'm not saying that for comedic value. I'm being serious because I've seen this on many different levels, whether we talking about in the recreational level, the business level, the street level. There's people that don't know how to get at no money, and that's them. You relying on antiquated tactics and antiquated sentiments on an era that is not this era. This is the global era. Globalization, yes, it's a thing, all right? That's why you're competing with a global platform, okay? Now, if you had half a fucking brain, you either go to Saudi Arabia and see if you can get the money yourself, or you go to Eddie, because they'll pay you for that fight. And they can help pay for the fight in a way where the fight can happen. And everywhere else in the world, they'll show the fight, but you'll still show the fight in America. In America, Showtime will have the rights for the fight. Everywhere else, Canada, South America, UK, Germany, all these other boxing markets, all right? Whatever money you can pull out of those markets, because that, and this is why I said what I said about Taylor versus Serrano, that these guys are idiots. We're not talking about 1.5 million on Fox or NBC. We're not talking about 1.5 million on ESPN. We're talking about 1.5 million people that pay monthly for the zone. That's like a little mini pay-per-view right there. That's what that is. It's a mini pay-per-view. And 1.5 million people at least around the world, they paid to see it. They paid. It's different than, oh, well, Caleb Plant, he did $1 million fighting Mike Lee, the Subway guy on Fox. Well, Fox ain't a pay-per-view, bro. That's an average linear network. That's not a monthly subscription fee. That don't come with that, all right? The Zone, you have to pay for that. So if you can get at 1.5 million people to watch a fight, that means that 1.5 million people are subscribed. That's 1.5 million wallets. That's what that is.
I'll go even further, Jules. You said something very brilliant. If they was smart, they would have went to Eddie a long time ago. Like, look, Eddie, what deal can you do for us to where you get all of our fights internationally? No, you're sticking you stuck Charlo and Castano on fucking YouTube. Basically. You had Gervonta Davis on YouTube, but he's this big star.
Listen, right now it looked like one network is going to foot the bill. And maybe that's the nature of the problem, that Showtime is trying to foot the bill. Well, imagine if you got an extra 10 million in the pot from the Zone. All right, we'll give you 10 for the international rights. We'll show it in a few of our 170 territories that we cater to. We'll show it. We'll give you 10. Hell, it don't even got to be 10 because that number sounds crunchy. We got 5 for you, bro. We got 5. Hey, that's 5 more than you had before, you dumbass. That's 5 more than you had before, but you don't know how to hustle because you're not hustlers. Your guy is from fucking Harvard. He's not a hustler. You don't know what the fuck he's doing. Can't you how do you fuck off $500 million? How do you do that? How? What are you, an idiot?
And this is what they teach at Harvard, because I got friends that went there. They teach you how to be a snake. They teach you how to fucking.
And he's that. He knows how to do
that. He knows how to do that. He knows how to sneak the money around and avoid. That's why Al don't be in public, because he knows they're gonna ask questions. So to avoid all that, he puts idiots out there, and they don't know how to talk. They don't know what to do. They're inept.
You got a guy, right, that he's over the moon because his fighter brought in $5 million at the gate. Oh my God. Charles Martin got paid more than that to fight Anthony Joshua. But you're over the moon because Gervonta Davis sold $5 million at the gate.
And what nobody's talking about, Jules, is how the budget for Showtime's how CBS and Showtime execs, the budget for their boxing programming, it's going down every year.
Of course it's going down. Look, remember, PBC used to be on NBC. Then they were on Spike. They had a deal with Spike. Then, they still maintained their relationship with Showtime throughout. Then they went to Fox, and things at Fox are drying up. Fox hasn't released a comprehensive schedule of fights. They're only showing 1 or 2 fights now, and it's not a schedule like before. That deal went bad very quickly. You've gone from network to network to get as much money as you can, network to network, but you're running out of places to go. I heard something about them going to Paramount, and we'll see about that. I heard that some months ago. I don't know how true it is. It's just something I heard. But it's like, y'all really don't know what y'all doing. You don't know how to groom fighters. That's the first thing. You don't know how to promote either. You literally don't. Like promoting is like an actual thing. Like it's like an actual art. That if I ask you about a card, you should be able to tell me something about everybody on that card. If I ask you about your stable, you're supposed to be able to tell me something about every one of your fighters, every one of them. You ask Eddie about some shit, he don't shut the fuck up. He'll tell you about a card that's happening in December. Be hot as shit outside. He'll tell you about a card that's in December. You know, we got lined up. You know what I mean? That's a promoter. And that's how Don King used to be. The dude that was with Riddick Bowe, too. I forgot his manager's name, man. That's a dude that wouldn't
You mean Rock Newman?
He wouldn't shut the fuck up. But you got to love it because that's the job. You the mouthpiece. You're not supposed to shut the fuck up. You supposed to talk. You supposed to be the mouthpiece for the fighter. Now, you got a guy in Al. He don't want to be in photos, much less promote. You got how old is fucking Tom Brown, bro? That dude look like he about to fall down. All these old ass men out here. No new blood. No new ideas. Wonder why the stable going stale. Wonder why the numbers ain't good. I said, after Charlo Castaño, watch them numbers take a sharp decline for Benavidez versus Lemieux, which half the people watched. Charlo versus Castaño, 800,000 on Showtime. Beautiful numbers for a premium cable network. Beautiful. Almost 1 million. Next weekend, Benavidez versus Lemieux, 400,000, 400 and change. It's not a fucking coincidence.
Yeah, no, what I'm hearing is like that Paramount deal was a pie in the sky for Paramount Plus. Paramount stocks have been down all year. Like the thing is, these content providers, they're focused more on original content in America because if you don't have one of the big four sports, there's no point in having any live content. Because you can't sell you're not selling ads on that. Why do you think DAZN is even? They have enough. They could sell ads even during the pay-per-view for Canelo because they're exposed.
They can sell. Yeah, if they wanted to diversify their revenue stream, show commercials between the fights. Fuck the people. Show commercials between the fights because money is money. Just alternate which fights are going to have commercials and which fights aren't because different fights cost different money. There are different operational costs for every fight. Canelo versus Bivol doesn't cost, it costs more than Josh Warrington versus Kiko Martinez. You know what I mean? You got to diversify.
In the beginning, like they had no, that's why they had to do time buys. NBC never gave them a deal up front. Like, no, we'll pay you X amount to have time on your network.
A lot of this is not complicated, believe it or not, but you have old dinosaurs doing the business. What the fuck do you expect? What do you expect? Have you seen Tom Brown?
I did. Remember I told you I ran into him before.
Tell me he don't got a big ass face.
He's got a big ass face, a nice birthmark, and he's like, and we had a good conversation.
He got the Billy Joe Saunders birthmark.
Yes, he do. And we had a nice conversation. I'm like, Tom, you really promoting this bullshit? Like, he's like, and he made that look like, well, I got to get paid, right? And I'm like, oh, cool, respect it. He's like, so what fights do you go to? I'm like, Tom, I'm flying first class to go see AJ Usyk. I was just at this other card, like, and he looked at the point like, you're the type of fan I want your money, but obviously, you're smart enough. You're smart enough to not buy this bullshit or support this bullshit.
No, I'm gonna say the same thing I've been saying, right? You can't help stupid, and you can't teach stupid, and that's not a joke. I want y'all to take that little jewel with y'all in life and use it, and always remember, you can't teach stupid, you can't fix stupid, you leave stupid alone. They're not gonna get it, They will watch this whole thing crumble, and because they're so fucking stupid, they won't learn nothing from it. You know what I mean? It's okay not to know shit. You become stupid when you don't want to know shit. When you don't want to understand. When you settle into bullshit, that's when you're stupid.
And that's stupid. Every day. You watch it because they could get that Saudi money. It's just Len Bavlatnik, DAZN, and Eddie Hearn have to be involved.
Of course, but
because let
me hit you with another one. What a big news story would it be? We're gonna bury the hatchets and we're gonna make fights. All of us, Top Rank, Matchroom, PBC, and this is just the beginning. Our international distributor is Matchroom through DAZN. Here in America, obviously Showtime is involved. That would take the whole boxing world and galvanize, because they'd have hope. By now, the boxing fans have caught up. They understand that there's politics, bro. But how much would it galvanize the boxing fans if the 3 titans or the 4 titans in the sport that have the biggest stables and the most juice, they got together and say, you know what? We're going to make fights. We're going to make fights. And we're going to do what we have to do to make fights. We're not going to be mean-spirited. We're not going to fuck each other over. We're going to make fights. The little guys, and they don't know that they're little guys yet. They don't want to get with the program, and they might wait until it's too late to get with the program, bro. Your stables are thinning out. Now, Top Rank, to their credit, they're going to be okay. They got a wave of great fighters coming through. That's why Top Rank has survived. They know how to do things. But y'all other cats, look at y'all situation. Look at Golden Boy situation. Look at PBC situation. The fuck? Main events, that you a booking agent at this point. You a booking agent.
And here's the thing. Of course, the Capricorn came up with this idea. Kudos, Jules. Eddie Hearn has enough juice to age them out like fighters do. He can age them out.
Of course, like you see it, like he's younger, more hopeful, more energy. You know what I mean? It's like none of it has ever been complicated. It's just people made it about things that it's not about. It's about money. If you don't want to understand that, then you a fucking idiot. And you're probably broke. That too. You probably don't got a lot of money. If you haven't figured this out yet, that it's not about tribalism, it's not, fuck all that. It's about money. It's always been it's always gonna be about money. Broke motherfuckers. Fuck, haven't you figured out? How the fuck haven't you figured out that all of this is about money? It's called prize fighting, ain't it?
Because they ain't never touched none.
That's what I was gonna say.
Hey,
they ain't
Jules,
never touched none.
Go ahead, Coach.
And you know what? And then you guys are 1000% correct. I think between AB, what he said, and then now the reality of the situation, what's going on with the Spence and Crawford, the money is not there. They don't have, bro. Like these guys are not asking. I don't know what they're asking for. No one knows. But it's safe to say they're not asking for Canelo type money.
Nah.
They're not asking for Canelo type money.
War Week Radio and Rick Glacier, I paid attention to the figure that they put out because at minimum I know they're coming from a place of understanding. Even if I don't always agree with their views on boxing, the figure that they put out, right? They said that, Canelo versus Golovkin is roughly a $70 to $80 million fight. Whereas Crawford and Spence, just based on the shit, it's a $30 million fight. That's what that is. And if it's a $30 million fight and Errol supposed to get the lion's share, so he gets 20 and Crawford gets 10, or what? Do they both get 15? But you see the situation that, okay, let's call this fight a $30 million fight. You know what I mean? Let's call it that. So out of 30, what's Crawford supposed to get to minimize the risks? What are you suggesting, that he gets 7 for what's supposed to be a bigger fight than Canelo versus Golovkin? Ain't nobody taking no pay cut when it comes to that fight, but y'all telling Bud, nah, you got to take a pay cut to make this one happen. What kind of goofy shit are you on? Would you go to work if you even have a job? Work for less? Is that what you would think? Then you're an idiot.
No, you're supposed to work for less because it's for legacy. And no. This is the argument they say. So it goes back to the question.
Less of what?
Less of what?
They want to give Terence Crawford like a 16 or 17% increase guarantee from the Porter fight, but it's the biggest fight in boxing.
Now, if I'm Crawford, and I know that as long as I get him in the ring, I'm gonna beat him senseless, right? I play this 2 ways. Okay, I'll take a smaller guarantee. I need the lion's share of the pay-per-view, though. I need at least 50 and better. If I'm not already getting 50, or if I am getting 50, then I need 60 because you're giving me maybe money.
That's what Marvin Hagler did in the Leonard fight.
Yeah,
but it worked. It worked.
He made more than Marvin, he
made more than Leonard. So if I'm Bud, I'm like, okay, so you want me to take a little bit less, or you want me to take an amount that I don't necessarily agree with. I will take that amount if you up my percentage at the back end. That's the only way I'll take it, because I'm not just going to take less to be taking less, and it has to be substantial enough that I'll take it. You know, because we see what happened to Kovalev. That motherfucker got the upside of nothing. He literally got the upside of nothing to get knocked out by Andre Ward.
It's one of those things. Okay, I'll take $3 million if I'm getting 75% of the pay-per-view upside. I'll split it in half. Give that other 3 to fucking Spence. Okay, guarantee him 12. I'll take 3 plus 75 of the pay-per-view.
And bear in mind, this is all supposed to be for a fight that is bigger than $80 million fight. Are you sure? Because if it were bigger, we wouldn't have to do all this, splitting all these hairs.
They don't even compare. They even think AJ Usyk 2 is not even on this level to even say it's bigger than that.
Because they're stupid. And like I said, I'm not going to sit on Twitter arguing with guys that I know don't pay. Like, yo, and I'm the head of my household. I can say that. The bills, they're in my name. The car, the bill, all that shit is me, right? These guys is not on that level to where, so I'm not going to sit here and argue finance with you, bro. Like, that would make me an idiot. And I'm not an idiot.
it's like I say, man, you know, and I'm going to keep it PG. You have 2-figure guys. 2 figures. You have a net worth of 2 figures in a PlayStation. And 2 Chico sticks. And a frozen cup, and you're saying this, he need to sign the contract. He need to do this and do that. And I asked the same question over and over. What contract? What contract are you talking about? The contract that was sent. Who told you that? Where you got that from? I know where you got it from. I know the community where you got it from. But it's not true. That's 1. 2, when he need to take less money. Take less of what? Did Joseph or Warwick Radio say anything? Give a number? Did Rick Glazer give a number? Like, take less of what? What's the number? I'm asking Jules. Like, did anyone say anything?
Oh no, they put out a preliminary figure, and you know, I do, like I said, because I know that they know the business, that they're not just saying whatever, right? The number that they put out there for that fight, I remember Rick said something. Rick said something along the lines of 20 and 30 mil. And I remember War a Week Radio, he said about 20 or 30, I believe it was. So based on that, I looked at it as like, oh, so, you know, they're pricing this at what, 20, 30 mil. Well, that's the way that they're pricing it. Then I think about the PBC and, you know, what their metrics usually look like. And I'm like, they want him to take probably 5 or 6. And I'm like, you gonna get 6 or 5 for Spence? You got 6 for Porter. No, I wouldn't take that deal. Well, what am I, an idiot? I'm gonna take for Spence, the cash cow, the biggest draw in the welterweight division, the guy that's supposed to replace. I'm gonna take 6 up for that. I don't fight, and all of you can suck my dick.
Well, that means you don't want to fight for legacy. That means you're ducking. That means these are the talking points. These are the talking points. So
And coach, those talking points flip when it comes to Tank. Like, he get in the bag, he don't need to fight for legacy. He get in the bag.
Which is what now. Thank you that you brought that up, Drew, because that really closes the circuit. When it's Tank, he needs to fight for the bag, but when it's Bud, he needs to fight for the Tank. Don't need a legacy. Bud don't need a bag. It's like Coach said. Tank already beat all these guys. Somebody's imagination. It's silly. It's pure silliness. Now I'm going to shift off of this, because I think we've made the points that we need to make and how this is unethical. But just in keeping with the theme of unethical business practices in the sport of boxing, here we have Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol, and Bob is doing something that is somewhat uncharacteristic. You have an aging light heavyweight who's not getting any younger. You'd rather put him in a yard fight to keep things in network between you and Frank instead of working with Eddie to put him in a Bivol fight. And you may be acting in the best interests of your network affiliate, but you're not acting in the best interests of your fighter. He's not going to get more money fighting Yard than he would fighting Bivol. We all know that. Eddie can pay for the fight. If you don't want to foot the bill, just take your percentage. And look at what you're doing. This is why these guys hate Eddie Hearn, because he pays more than them. He's willing to, and he has a major platform. What you're doing is wrong. And that's a little bit uncharacteristic of Top Rank. But unless something changes and news breaks tomorrow that Artur is fighting Bivol, regardless of what sides of the street it's on, yeah, you just as fucked up as Al. This guy's 37. You think he's got all the time in the world. It's just like Hearn said it. If you don't fight him now, if you don't fight Dimitri this year, you know what happens next year. He's preoccupied with Canelo. He's preoccupied. That's what's going to happen. So get him now while you can, so that maybe you can fight Canelo next year. No, let's put him in a Yard fight. That's better. Better for who? Better for you? Better for ESPN? Not better for Artur. It's not better for Artur.
You know what, Jules?
And let me ask you this, Jules. Go ahead, Coach Cook.
No, sorry about that, brother. Go ahead.
And Jules, it's better he get Bivol now, because let Bivol beat Canelo again. The price is going up again.
What's this going up? Of course it's going up. And you know the Matchroom's going to offer him more money moving forward to keep him there. Just like they did with who? With who'd they just give an extended contract?
Oh, the guy that I said,
Was that Bam?
quoted you, Jules.
Bam.
Bam. The guy that I quoted and said, Jules said he can take over after Canelo, and everybody got their panties in a bunch.
That's because they can't see the forest for the trees. Look, you had a lot of people earlier this week when they saw that Chris Billum Smith was going to Sky, they chose to take the piss out of Eddie. But he has Bam, you fucking morons. He has Bam. You don't think that he's gonna and sometimes this is the beauty of getting old. When you get old, you realize I don't need to sit here and argue with you for 10 minutes. When this is over, I'll be right and you'll be wrong. And that's all that matters. That's it. I said Wilder will never fight Anthony Joshua. 4 years later, has he fought him yet?
No, they haven't fought at all.
I said year after year from 2018 onward, they're not fighting this year. 2019, they're not fighting this year. 2020, they're not fighting this year. 2021, they're not fighting this year. Might not fight this year either. They might not.
I'm willing to bet, and again, I don't know. I could be wrong, but I'm willing to bet. If Wilder can be honest with himself, or maybe I don't know. Maybe he's sitting down thinking about it. Like, man, I had an opportunity to get $100 million or $100 million plus with the zone. I turned that down. I remember it like it was yesterday. Shelly Finkel was standing right next to him. Yeah, we did get offered this, but Wilder's going to bet on himself. We believe that fight can be a lot bigger later on down the line. Yada 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 yada. You cherry picked Fury for the second time. You got the brakes beat off of you, and then you took him to court to get the brakes beat off you again for the third time.
For less money. For less money.
And it's like, damn.
You can't make up that kind of stupid because you can't teach stupid, bro. It's like the shit that they do is not going to make sense to you. It's not going to make sense to me. It's not going to make sense to Drew. It's not going to make sense because it's like, yo, what? Are you an idiot? Why would you do that? And I said it yesterday, if you feel that he cheated, there's only two ways he cheats. The Nevada State Athletic Commission either helped him or they are so inept that he got away with it. But in any event, if he cheated, why is the third fight in Nevada? Are you a fucking idiot? And the answer is yes. He is a fucking idiot.
Because, Coach, you forgot one more thing. He had already turned down that $50 million guarantee from Rock Nation for 5 fights.
Who are you talking about?
Wilder did in 2014.
Oh yeah, I forgot all about that. I'm glad you brought that up. I didn't even remember that. I forgot all about it.
It's a lot of shit. It's a lot of shit that shows you the intelligence that somebody has. It's like when you get to the point to where, and this is just critical thinking skills. When you get to the point to where you're focusing on the messenger instead of the message, you're stupid. You're stupid. If I contradict myself, call me out. I welcome it. because that's critical thinking. And if I see any I'm gonna call them out. That's critical thinking. But you're focusing on, oh well, Leonard said it. Leonard, and how many $80 million fights is Leonard doing this year? How many? By my count, Eddie's doing 2. You ain't even doing 1. You ain't doing 1.
And you're being conservative with those numbers too, Jules.
No, I am. But just because I don't feel like racking my brain over the value of every fight, I don't have to. I'm efficient. I only need to name 2 to make my point.
The thing is, Eddie Hearn has two of the biggest fighters in boxing. He has Canelo and Anthony Joshua, and site fees are astronomical. Joshua's site fees are astronomical. These guys are the cash cows, period, hands down. And no disrespect to Leonard, but you have Tank Davis.
Yeah,
you have Tank Davis.
What is he at most? It's like they see the pay-per-view buys, and it's like I'm like, yo, it just is what it is. I mean, that's just the internet. But I'm like, okay, let's say I'm gonna round up 275,000. That's not what they said he did. That's what they said he might do. But you guys have low reading comprehension, so it's okay. I'll round up for you, 275. Do you think that all of that 275,000 pay-per-view sold, you think he's taking all of that home? Oh, he's $5 million at the gate. You think he's taking all of that home? Are you an idiot? You never heard the saying, there's no such thing as a free lunch? Everything costs? Everything costs something. So if you do 5 million, so if he 5 million, you think that's 5 million in his bank account. I don't know what, like, that's so dumb. I don't even know what to say.
It's like what I say, Jules, and I realize this. You can't be trying to debate, argue with 2-figure guys. You have a net worth of 2 figures and a PlayStation, PS5. I'm not going to argue with you about economics, about money. You know nothing about money. You've been selling Nick sacks all day in the hood, and you're trying to argue with a guy who has a net worth of 8 figures, what he should do and how he should handle his business, because you was on a certain YouTube channel listening to YouTube nomics. Bro, like, I'm not going to do this with you. I look like an idiot even trying to argue with you.
That's like it's simple, all right? It's simple, all right? If you knew anything about what he should do, you'd have more money than him.
Exactly, and that's why coach, and that's exactly why I make my points irrefutable, for the simple fact that when they was complaining, I'm like, look, in one fight, Eddie Hearn is making the entire budget of Showtime,
literally the annual budget.
The annual budget in one fight, and Canelo in 2 fights, he's making the budget of Showtime and Top Rank in 2 fights.
I'm gonna drop another jewel because I think it needs to be said. Budget is an important word. If that is not an important word, if you don't recognize that that's an important word when you hear it, says a lot. This guy in one fight is getting their annual budget. Annual, another important word. All right? This one fight, your year. This one fight, your year. 12 months, 365 days, one fight. But he doesn't know what he's doing.
He doesn't know what he's doing. Canelo, he didn't do the numbers that they're saying. He did terrible. Okay, so if Canelo is doing so terrible, Leonard Ellaby, explain to me why did the PBC offer him $100 million?
Thank you. You know I was going to go there, Coach. If he is not what Hearn says he is, why'd your people offer him $100 million?
I'll go even further, Coach. Why are Canelo and AJ making more coming off a loss? But he don't know what he's doing. And the fights at
you can't make it up. Fights. You can't make it up. Are you telling me that Canelo Alvarez off a loss still makes more money than Jermall Charlo off a win? Than Errol Spence off a win? But Eddie don't know what he's doing. No, clearly.
Jules, you know the crazy part about this?
Coach. Go ahead, Coach.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, sir. Go ahead, my brother. Go ahead.
Go ahead. All I was going to say, what job security do you know where if I perform badly, my next opportunity out, I get a raise?
Realize that he's going to get more money off a loss than he did going into the B-ball fight. No, think about it. You got what you got for B-ball, but this fight is bigger than that fight, so you're actually going to make more coming off a loss than you did coming off a win. But
the Saudis are paying AJ more off a second loss than the first loss.
But Eddie don't know how to promote guys. He got guys coming off of losses making more money than they did coming off of, but he don't know what he's doing. You know who knows what he's doing? It's the guys that can't put together Spence and Crawford.
It's like you need Neil deGrasse Tyson. You know, this is astrophysics at its best. No, it's not. You guys said that you know everybody's living well. You're living in mansions. Welcome to the PBC, like welcome to Death Row. We're gonna get the PBC chain. Everything is good. You know, the caviar is everywhere. Champagnes, bottles.
They wanted PBC. See, this is the thing, and I get it. Honestly, I do. Let me read the super chat first. I have the feeling Mark Ramsey will have none of Bob's bullshit and will push for the B-ball fight for Arthur. To me, Mark Ramsey is a no-nonsense guy who will stand by his fighters. We'll see. Shout out to Century Gothic. Also, I appreciate you. Now, back to, I get it that the PBC, much like the Zone when they debuted in America, when the PBC debuted years ago, I get you have to perpetuate that image. You need the PBC to be the land of milk and honey so that you can attract talent and viewers. Like, I get it. I'm not against that. I get it. But as soon as you saw that, okay, it's not working. Like, it's not working, bro. Okay, now what you can do now that might save you, join with Top Rank against Eddie. That's your only chance. That's it. I love Charlo versus Castaño, but realistically, 154 is not a money division. It's not. It's not. Look at welterweight. You've had the run of the place. You still can't put together this fight.
Jules,
you've had the run of the place.
Jules, explain to me, and you just said it's not a money division, but Jermell Charlo made history. He became undisputed. And they literally gave away more tickets at the venue than they sold.
And it
was like no one really cared, like outside of the diehard boxing fans. I'm like, man, this is a big fight.
But that's their fault. Look, I don't like seeing a dude do what he got to do, like Mel did, and you don't get what you deserve, because he deserves much better. We shouldn't be talking about no fucking There ain't no Jermall Charlo. It's only Mel. He did.
How many years I've been saying, Jules? How many years I've been saying there's only Mel?
It's only Mel.
And that for 3-4 years now. I don't know. There's only Mel.
All right, now you got a guy. Y'all rather sit here and talk about Davis that don't give y'all none of the fights that y'all know in here y'all want to see. But Mel made it a point. I'm gonna go after every belt in my wake. And how do you reward him? And then get mad at ESPN. Don't be mad at ESPN. Be mad at yourself. Don't be mad at ESPN. ESPN don't owe you shit. They don't owe you shit. You didn't give that man his props. You were too busy sucking off his brother. And what the fuck is he doing? Nothing. Be a wonder if he even fights this year. Look at Crawford, which aggravates the shit out of me. Most accomplished American fighter in boxing today. What did y'all do to him for 4 years? You fucking idiots. And now look at where the fight is. It's all y'all fault. Not my fault. I paid. I bought Crawford's fights. I even bought 2 of Spence's fights. You bum motherfuckers fucked it up. All of y'all fucked it up.
And damn you, Jules, you convinced me to buy that last Spence fight, son of a bitch.
But you know, because I'm like, look, it's a simple formula. If we content creators, myself, Coach Malachi, and the panelists and the fans, if we put money into the sport, guess what happens? The sport grows. And when the sport grows, what else happens? We make more money. It's sustainable for all of us, for the promoters, for the managers, for the fighters, for the networks, and for the content creators. that capitalize off of it. It's homeostasis, the way the body works. All things balance, all right? Yeah. Idiots don't understand. They're not going to. What is homeostasis? You don't even know what the fuck that is, so be quiet, right? Point is, you gotta give. You gotta give. If I make money off of boxing, which I do, by the way, a lot, why wouldn't I give back? Why not? It's a business expense. Write it off of my taxes.
Absolutely.
Like anything else.
Hey, Jules, I even woke up at 5 in the morning to cover my main man, Inoue the Monster. Yeah, I was like,
we was up at 5 in the morning for Triple G Murata, a super fight over there in Asia.
All right. All of this is but we understand this, right? Coach understands this, Drew understands this, and I'm not trying to be an elitist, I'm being serious. We're used to business to some degree on every level. I'm not saying that, I'm dead serious, all right? It's simple to us because we understand it. There's people out there, and I'm not joking, they don't understand shit. Your mind is not made to think that way. For what, I don't know why. Maybe they dropped you as a kid. Maybe you ate some lead. It was lead in the paint. You ate paint. Your mind doesn't work that way. But you'll sit there, try to argue with a guy like Coach, call him names, call him out his name, because you mad that your brain is about to conk out trying to figure this shit out. Well, it's simple, fam. It was always all smoke and mirrors over there. I've been saying it for 4 years. What they telling you, that's not what's going on over there. They want you to believe that to ward away other promoters that might make offers to their fighters. When you see that Eddie, I got 7 for you. Nah, I got 8 for you. Nah, give me 10. You pricing yourself out. Can't you see that? He already willing to overpay you for Farmer, and you saying he got to give you 10. So what he got, and whatever he give Farmer, which could be make this 13, 15. It's like, I see what it is. You don't want to fight, or you are not at liberty to fight. And instead of blaming you, they'll blame him for offering you something, because these people are morons.
As a matter
now,
of fact,
let me ask you this, Coach. Go ahead, Coach. No,
I'm going to say this. You want 10, right? But you're making 1.5. Is you trying to make sense out of nonsense? Like, you can't make this.
Trying to squeeze blood out of grape, water out of rock.
Now, like, it's insane. This question, Coach, in regards to this topic of what's going on. Do you think? I feel bad for Fulton in this case, because even Eddie tweeting him like, "Hey, bro, you earn with Hearn over here." They're not going to make that fight, and I feel bad for Stephen.
Let's say this, right? Stephen, and I want him to get the fight. I don't mind him as a fighter. I like him as a fighter, right? But when you built an expectation because you were calling for this fight. So the expectation that you built is, okay, are you going to do what you have to do for this fight? Because that could mean going to the zone. It could. That could mean going over. If the fight is easier to do at the zone, or if they're willing to pay for it, then go. It's a one-off. Jose Ramirez did it. I don't want to hear it. He didn't stay at the zone for 5-6 fights after Hooker. He went there once, won the belts, and went home. He back at Top Rank. You can't do that? Why? All right, if you can't do that, I'll work with you. What's Showtime going to offer MJ to bring him over? Have they made him an offer? If they don't even make the man an offer, you're full of shit. You don't want that fight. You don't want that fight. You just...
Jules, it's something you said about the PBC is ran like a record company. Al Heyman comes from the record business. It's and I'm like, damn, that's it. Remember the rapper? You see rappers come on TV and they got the ice.
Yep.
The women, all of the models,
the image.
It's an illusion. It's not real. I've been on video shoots before, and I'm like, this dude just got a record deal. There's no way he's living in that mansion. Yeah, he doesn't have that. He received an advance. Maybe
that's what I was going. Coach, you know exactly how it goes. They take the advance and they buy the jewels for the video, and all of it is really for the studio time and to do the record and to do the photo shoot. But it's all an illusion. It's all from an advance. And in the end, what happens? You end up owing the record company.
Right.
That's PBC. That's
And that's
PBC.
PBC. They're not, the PBC guys aren't like Master P, E40 that got the independent deal. Like, no, I'm gonna make $10 a CD, you get two. And Fulton, like you said, Jules, Fulton either has to go to the zone, or even if he wants to Inoue fight, bro, you got to go to Japan.
And listen, this is the other shit, right? I'm not putting it all on Fulton to do everything, or even I'm not putting it all on the PBC to do everything. It's simple. Stefan, you don't want to go to the zone. Let's say you don't want to. I'm not even putting words in his mouth, but let's just say it gets to that point to where, look, I don't want to have to go over there. Okay, cool. You don't have to. Get your people to make him an offer. Because I don't want to see with you what I saw with Charlo and Andre. Charlo offered to bring you, Andre offered to bring you over. You didn't want to do that. Then he offered to come over, and you didn't want to do that either. Okay, so you just didn't want to fucking fight. Now, Fulton, you're saying you do want to fight. You're saying you want those other two belts. There's only two ways this works. Either you go to him, or he comes to you. Either or. And if all we're going to see is you talking to Eddie and adding Eddie, and I need this Eddie, but you don't actually make an offer, you're not for real, bro. You're not for real. All that shit is fake. Because it's either you make the offer or he makes the offer. If he makes an offer and you don't take it, I'm expecting to see a counter offer. Something better come back. It's not one way. Takes two teams to make a fight. Only take one to fuck it up. We'll see how real he is. Or how I'm not going to jump to conclusions. I haven't done that with Fulton. We'll see how real you are or how real you ain't.
Well, Jules, I want to say one thing about what you were saying about Bivol, Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol. Bob has been kind of consistent lately as outside of Fury and Wilder. He doesn't want to make cross promotional fights. You know, if his fighter needs to fight another fighter to become undisputed, if that fighter's not signed, like with Shakur Stevenson. If that fighter that he needs to fight is not signed with Top Rank, undisputed is overrated. Mm-hmm. I don't care about that kid. Yada 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 yada. But when it's a fighter that's signed to him, like once Devin Haney came over, Lomachenko thing fell through, didn't work out. No problem. The fight get made. He's been doing. I know he's
depends
been
on
that,
the
bro.
fight. Depends on the fighter, coach, because he still want Davis. Still want Davis.
And this too, coach. If Zurdo Ramirez had the belt and it was Oscar, even if it was DAZN, Bob would make that fight.
The thing is this is why he's acting this way, coach. It's not necessarily because he doesn't want the cross-promotional joint. Mm-hmm. It's more along the lines of he knows he has no leverage in the situation. He has no leverage. You can't treat Dimitri like he's nobody. He beat Canelo, and you know that. And you also know that more people know him for beating Canelo than they know Artur for beating Joe. So all you can do is wait this out because you have no leverage and you don't want to pay to play. If it were just as simple as, hey, can we borrow that guy for a fight? Okay, but it's going to cost you. If we're willing to pay them more than you are, then that fight needs to happen here. And you know that. You know that. Mm-hmm. Look at how mad he got that he had to give Anthony Crolla a little bit more money for the Loma fight. He did that so that it wouldn't go to purse bid, so that Loma's fight wouldn't go to DAZN. But he was furious that you had to give Anthony Crolla a little bit more money to prevent a purse bid. So imagine if it were about bringing Dimitri over to ESPN. He don't want to have to go through that. He's waiting it out. And whoever the last man standing ends up being, out of Canelo versus Bivol 2, that's who he'll look to deal with. It's a lazy approach. It really isn't in the best interest of his fighter either, because your fighter is old. He's 37. He needs that fight now. You don't care.
And this is the thing, like, it's something that you said, man. And I'm like, damn, Jules was right. You have to strike when the iron is hot.
Yep. And
right now, Beterbiev, Bivol, that fight needs to be made.
Yep.
Now, because we see what happens when you try to over marinate a fight, this and that. Say whatever you want to say. You see it happening with the PBC. You see it happening with Top Rank. You see, I get it. No, they don't like Eddie Hearn. I've never seen nothing like this, to where American promoters They all come together and form one big conglomerate. They don't really get along with each other, but they have one common enemy that they hate. They hate Eddie Hearn.
Now, do people hate on you when you're doing well, or do they hate on you when you're doing bad?
Oh, they hate on you when you're doing well. When you're doing
What's
bad,
that tell you about Eddie? What's that tell you about Eddie in the zone?
They do what they doing. It goes back to that old saying, fellas. An enemy of my enemy is my friend.
I said it in the last video I did that Oscar De La Hoya's Golden Boy Promotions is on the zone. They don't go in on Oscar. Well, Oscar's not a threat to them. Oscar's like, what's Oscar going to threaten them with? He ain't working with paper like that. But Eddie is. So he's a fly in the ointment for them. You know what I mean? And what I like about it just as a consumer, which we see in the United Kingdom also, when the market is competitive, the content has to be better. So you see PBC making undisputed fights and unification matches. You see Top Rank making unification fights and undisputed matches. You see that it's across the board. Yeah, you got to step it up because the zone is forcing you to step it up.
Very similar to when Don King was in his heyday. Bob Arum had to make, he had to make those fights, and he had to do quite a few cross promotional fights with Don King, because you got a juggernaut of a promoter in King, and he's gonna sign everybody and make every Jules, you remember what a Don King fight card was like. You have Julio Cesar Chavez.
Why you think I say people could say what they want about Don the man, Don the promoter?
Yeah.
You can't fuck with him.
Can't touch him.
Not even look. Let me read the super chat. I'm too old to know how to steal boxing. Just learned YouTube. Haha, best boxing show to relay. Appreciate that. Country, I'd shoot you the link, but I'm about to wrap this one up, bro. I'm literally about to close it out.
Hey, coach, it goes back to what Jules been saying. These American promoters don't want to work for their money. And here's what I think's going on, though, with Bob. I love Bob. Like Eddie said in that interview, Bob's 90. He can think how he wants to because he's 90.
Yeah.
Bob knows that when he passes, he's not going to see Shakur reach his highlights. He's not going to see Keisha. All these young guys that he's got, he's not going to see them at their Hall of Fame elite stage. And you could tell he doesn't want Eddie to scoop them up. Like when Bob leaves, when Bob passes, Top Rank ain't never going to be the same.
I hope, let me say this. I love Top Rank like a uncle. Feel me? Like, you love your family members, flaws and all. You love your family members, right? So that's how I feel about some of the outfits and the characters in this boxing story that we all a part of, right? I would feel bad if Top Rank's legacy in the sport would diminish. I really hope Todd Duboff and Carl Moretti can handle it. I actually don't want nothing to happen to Bob, to be honest with you. I hope he live to be 150. Just cause like, I don't wish nothing bad on nobody, but it would be sad if Top Rank couldn't keep up that gold standard that they've maintained. Nobody grooms fighters better than Top Rank. Nobody. It's not even fucking close. It's not close.
Oh no, that won't change. Because Carl's great, Todd Duboff, but I'm talking about taking the fighter to the next level, Jules, the way Eddie can do.
I mean,
that
particular aspect of the sport has never been their strength. That's why Oscar and Floyd and Cotto and Manny left. I mean, so I just don't want them to go where main events went. You feel me? Or Rock Nation went. You feel me? Like, I don't want to see that happen. But in closing, what you're seeing, with Crawford and Spence, at least for me, is confirmation of what I said for the last 4 years. If he really were a cash cow, we wouldn't have to go through this. He's not a cash cow. He may be the biggest name in the welterweight division, but overall, he's not mainstream. He's not. Like, no, he's not. Literally. All right? If he were, this fight would be done. And that is all. Gentlemen, always a pleasure. See y'all on the next live.
All right, fellas.